Alright, so in my last two videos, we talked about simplifying radicals. Today, we're going to talk about combining them using addition or subtraction. So, the first thing you're going to look for is like radicals. A like radical is very similar to like terms. So, for example, you combine your x plus x together. You can combine your y plus y. Maybe your z minus z. You look for the same letter. Keeping that in mind, you're going to look for the same number under your square roots, and you're going to look for the same type of roots. So, for example, I have the square root of 5 here and the square root of 5 here. They are the same number underneath that radical. Oops, pushing buttons on here. My bad. 2 and 15 have nothing in common. I have the square root of x and the square root of x. They're exactly the same. I have the square root of x and the square root of 6x. Again, they are not the same. They do not have the same thing underneath the radical. Square root of 4t, square root of 4t, square root of 2, square root of 3. Not the same. Alright, so when I can combine like radicals, what I look for is making sure they're the same. Once I know they're the same, I can go ahead and do whatever operation I'm asked to with the coefficients or the numbers up front. So if 2 square root 5 plus 4 square root 5, 2 plus 4 gives me that 6. The square root of 5 follows with. It's the same thing as saying 2x plus 4x is 6x. We can treat that radical, or in this case the square root of 5, as a variable. So, same idea. Here's just what I said in writing. So, some more examples, because we like examples. I'll look first to see if the square root of 3's are the same. They are. So then I take 9 minus 4, and minus 4 is 5. I bring that square root of 3 with my 5, and my answer is 5 root 3. Number 2. Maybe. There. Notice how I have the square root of x and the square root of y. Those are not the same, so nothing can be combined. Square root of m, square root of m. It's like saying x minus 7m. Excuse me, or x minus 7x. Let's make that actually the same. There's that invisible 1 here. Same idea with a radical. There's an invisible 1 hanging out in front. So then it's the same as saying 1 minus 7, which gives me negative 6. Sometimes we're given stuff that doesn't matter. So say we're given 4x plus 7y. Oops. Plus 2x. I go ahead and still combine the stuff that's the same and bring along whatever's left. So if you notice here, I have the square root of xy, square root of xy, so I'm going to take 2 plus 9, because I have the plus in front of the 9, which gives me 11. Notice my radical has stayed the same, and then that positive 2 square root of y comes with afterwards. Okay, let's do some practice problems. Square root 7, square root 7. So we take 5 minus 6. 5 minus 6 is negative 1, so I have negative square root 7, or negative 1 square root 7. Square root 3, square root 3. So I have 8 minus 5, which gives me 3. So then I have 3 root 3. square root of n, square root of n. So I take 4 plus 4, which is 8. So then I have 8 square root n. I have the square root of 2s, the square root of 5s, and the square root of 5s. So if you notice, this term and this term, the last two terms are the same. So I leave the square root of 2s alone. I take negative 1 plus 9, which gives me a positive 8 square root of 5s. That's as far as those two can be simplified, because 2s is not the same as 5s. They are unlike terms. Sometimes radicals do not appear to be the same until they are simplified. So this is like going back to day 1 and the last video. It's best to simplify all radical expressions before trying to find the like terms. So for example, square root of 45 minus square root of 20. Square root of 45 gives me to 3 root 5. Square root of 20 gives me to 2 root 5. Then I get 3 minus 2, which gives me 1. Alright, so then I get 9 times square root of 75 plus 2 times square root of 50. 75 can be broken down into 25 times 3. Square root of 25 is 5. That 5 and that 9 get multiplied together to give me 45. Again, that square root of 3 is still following with. Again, 50 can be broken up into 25 times 2. Square root of 25 is 5. My 2 and my 5 get multiplied together, and then I get 10. Notice that even with simplifying, I do not have like terms. So, yes, you still need to simplify because there is a chance that you will have like terms. Sometimes you do not, and if you do not, you just leave it alone. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at breaking up each individual term. So this one has been started for you. You just have to kind of fill in the blanks. So this first radical corresponds with this first radical here. So originally I have 75y. 75y is equal to something times 3y. So I'm assuming that something is going to be my perfect square. Well, 75, think of quarters. How many quarters do I have? I have 3. So in that first blank, I'm going to put a 25. The next blank corresponds with my 27. I'm going to try to think what times 3 gives me 27, because it's already telling me it's going to be multiplied by 3. Correctamundo. Should have 9. 9 is a nice, perfect square root. Lastly, what times 3 gives me 48? 16. 16 again is also a perfect square. Now I'm going to take the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So that 5 gets to come out. I have the 3y left over. Next, I'm taking the square root of 9, which is 3, which means that 2 and that 3, are going to get multiplied together. You do not magically create the number 23. Your operations stay the same. You're still going to be multiplying. And then the square root of 16 gives me 4. Nothing's going on with that 5, so I'm going to leave it alone. I have 2 times 3 here, which gives me 6. Nothing's going on with that 4. So now I'm going to take 5 minus 6, which gives me negative 1, plus 4, which gives me 3. So my answer is 3 square root 3y. I want you to try these two. Go ahead and pause that video. Alright, I'm going to to go ahead and work through some of these problems. So if you've unpaused and you already have your answer, you can go ahead and fast forward. If you have not paused and have not done anything, well, shame on you. If you need more help, here it is. So 54 is broken down into 9 and 6. 9 is perfect with 3 and 3. 6 is 2, 3, and 2. I only have one set of group coming out, so I'm going to have a 3, square root 6 hanging out. Because again, 2 and 3 have no other buddies. I keep those underneath that square root with multiplication. 24 is 4 and 6. We just saw that 6 does not break down, so I'm going to leave it alone. Square root of 4 is 2 and 2. There's my group. So 2 comes out left with 6. Take a look. I have square root of 6 and square root of 6. We're all good in the hood. I have the same number under the radical. I have the same type of radical. So I have 2 plus 3, which gives me 5. Bring that square root of 6 along. There's my answer. Alright, 27 breaks down into 9 and 3. 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. There's my buddies. I already have that 4 on the outside. So that 4 is going to get multiplied by the group of 3 that comes out. Left with the 3 underneath. 18 is, 9 and 2. 9 is 3 and 3. 2 cannot reduce anymore. So I bring a group of 3 out. Square root of 2. 4 times 3 gives me 12. So I have 12 root 3 minus 3 root 2. I ask myself, do I have the same square roots here? Nope. They are not the same. I cannot combine them. So my answer is 12 root 3 minus 3 root 2. Let's try some more. 12 is equal to 4 times 3. 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. There's my buddies. Now I only have one y hanging out, so my y is going to hang out with my 3. So I have 2 square root of 3y. 27, we just saw again, was 9, which broke down to 3 and 3 and 3. Again, there's only one y, so he's going to come and hang out with my 3. Again, there's only one y. We didn't have enough variables. There's no exponents. I only have one of them. I need 2 to come out and hang out. So they stay inside. So then I take a peek. 3y, 3y. We're good to go. So 2 plus 3 gives me 5. So 5 root 3y. All right, 243. Kind of saw this one, I believe, on the notes yesterday. I forgot. Hint, try 3. Oh, hey, 81 and 3. Okay, 81 is 9 and 9. Those are my buddies, so they're going to come out. 75 is quarters, so 25 and 3. 25 is 5 and 5, so those guys are going to come out. So then I have 9 root 3. Oh, this is my operation sign in the middle. I think it's plus, yeah. My group of 5 comes out, left with root 3. Take a peek. Root 3 and root 3, we're good to go. So 9 plus 5 gives me 14. Square root of 3 comes and hangs along with. Feeling pretty good? Good. These ones, go ahead and pause your video and check back for your answers. Stop.